What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to teach you the fastest way I know possible to do more pull-ups, whether that be for a military physical fitness test that you left to the last minute, or if you just want to squeak a few more reps in to gain a little more strength. This is the fastest and simplest way I know to increase your reps in a short amount of time. Now, before I tell you what it is, I will say that this method teaches your body how to move in the most efficient way possible. And in a different wording of that could be considered kind of like a cheat rep, but that's the design of this video, to get still quality pull-ups that count. And remember, this could be for a physical fitness test, it could be you're just trying to beat your buddy in a pull-up count, and it could teach your body how to break a plateau, because for some reason the numbers, we get stuck on them. So if you're stuck at 8 reps and all of a sudden from this method you do 10, the next time you do like a workout where you're trying to aim for 10, even if you're not using the most efficient method possible, you could still get 10. Sometimes that's how we break those mental plateaus. So it could be very valuable in that sense, but again, it's a learning phase. It's teaching your body how to move efficiently, and so let me show you what it is. It is called the pre-fatigue method, and I've talked about this in the past before. It's a little confusing the way I talk about it versus how bodybuilders talk about it, because in a bodybuilding sense, if we're doing something that's quad focused, right? So let's say we combine leg extensions and squat. So we're gonna, both of those hit the quads. So leg extensions, we're coming out with our knee like this, engaging the quad in isolation, and then we'll do a compound exercise like squats. The idea is to overwhelm that muscle, like really exhaust the target muscle. The way I approach pre-fatigue is we are eliminating that muscle so the surrounding muscle groups get targeted more. Because when we have such a quad dominant exercise like a squat, if we eliminate the squat, now we're trying to recruit all the other muscles in the chain to help support the squat. And this is gonna have a raging pump, and that's what we're trying to do on the pull-up bar. It just so happens that our biceps are involved in the chain of a pull-up. So what we're going to be doing is eliminating the biceps with some bicep curls. And that's the reason I'm telling you how to become efficient in your pull pattern, because when we eliminate the biceps, now we can hyper-target the brachialis, the brachioradialis, our forearm flexors, our lats, and some of our core. A lot of those are being less targeted when our biceps are fresh, because our biceps are helping initiate that pull. Now, personally, I don't even consider biceps a primary mover in pull-ups. It's more of your lats, your brachialis, your brachioradialis, and your forearm flexors. But in a chin-up, I wouldn't recommend doing this for chin-ups because of how involved the biceps are in a chin-up, because we're supinated, not pronated. When we pronate, we are now using a different mix of muscles and a different pull pattern to engage those muscles. So the bicep is the perfect muscle to remove from the chain, because we have a lot of muscles that are still supporting, but they are harder to reach when the bicep is not fatigued. So this is a simple method. All you're gonna do is do supinated bicep curls for about, let's say, 70 to 80% of your max curl rate. So that's gonna be RPE, that's on you. So if I were to curl 10 pounds, like if my max curl, just for an example, if my max curl was 10 reps at 10 pounds, I'm gonna aim for 7 to 8 reps at that 10-pound weight. So I leave a little bit in the tank so I don't just destroy this, so when I get on the bar, I'm not really able to move that well. But we wanna tire these out so they have enough gas in the tank to help support on the bar, but now your body is going to have to go into that shock mode and realize, oh, I gotta pull way more with my brachioradialis, I gotta pull way more with my brachialis, I gotta pull way more with my lats. And that's why this works so well, because we've weakened the chain, so now we make the other surrounding areas a lot stronger. So here's the example, supinated curls. The reason it's important to do supinated is because this isolates the bicep a lot more than a hammer curl or a semi-pronated. If we were to do semi-pronated or a hammer curl, we would be hitting the brachialis and the brachioradialis way too much. We want to target the biceps as much as we can. I like keeping my elbow kind of in front of my body and then here. Just like that, and I can feel that right in my bicep. It's okay if it's incorporating like the lower forearm, stuff like that. We just want to tire those muscles out as best we can. And then when I've done my 70 to 80% rep max, or whatever you want to call it, the RPE, we're going to hop on the bar with no rest, and we're going to bang out. You can go till failure. If you want to do more sets, I recommend going to that same kind of like 80% rep max, and we're going to rep that out. And now what my body's doing, it's realizing, oh, I have to incorporate some of my previous video tips, like external shoulder rotation to better engage the lats. Maybe I have to lean backwards a little bit in the pull and pull a lot more of a horizontal row. These reps still count because my chin goes over the bar, but it's going to be developing a new pull pattern that you're not used to, the efficient pull pattern, because we have weakened the chain. And then sometimes what will happen is the pull speed tempo will change as well. Most of the time when we pull naturally, right, we're doing a full rep, we want full muscle contraction, so like for a workout, it's nice, slow and controlled, we're pulling up and back down. And I consider there's 3 phases to a pull-up. So there's the lower phase, which is up to about 90 degrees, or just below 90 degrees. The middle phase is just above and below 90 degrees, and then the high phase is anywhere above that middle phase, so all the way up. Reason for that is because when we go through different pulling muscle groups through those phases. So as I pull, it's heavy on the forearms, it's heavy on the lats, and then when I get to that middle point, it's mostly brachialis, a little bit of bicep, the brachioradialis, and then when I get to the top, it's a lot of brachioradialis, brachialis, because we're basically just doing this, right? And if you think about those muscle groups involved, our lats are like max contracted around here, and the rest of the way up, we're just pulling with our arms as hard as we can. So there's different muscle groups in different phases, and that's the reason this works so well, because we're kind of taking out one of those phases, or weakening one of those phases. And what that's going to do for the tempo of your pull is, as I pull, I might naturally start changing into a faster pull at the beginning and kind of riding that momentum to the top, and then, you know, making the rep count, whether you pause at the top or not. What I'll do naturally, like, remember, it's creating efficiency, so I'll pull. So what I'm trying to do efficiently is skip those steps, those top 2 steps, where I'm really trying to flex in the whole way up, because our lats in this position, especially if we externally rotate our shoulders a little bit so we get those shoulders out of the way so we can engage our lats, are going to initiate that pull in such a strong manner that we kind of ride that whole speed all the way up. But again, that puts a lot more stress on the forearm flexors, so it depends on what your body does naturally, why this is going to work well for you, or how it's going to work for you. But by design, we're doing this in training, right? The pre-fatigue, I wouldn't recommend doing pre-fatigue before you do a military physical fitness test or a competition or something like that. This is in training. So we're trying to teach our body, okay, this is an efficient way to pull under fatigue. Now, when we've done, so what I'll do is protocol-wise, I will do 4 rounds. You can do 3 to 4 rounds of no rest between the bicep curls and the pull-ups, and then get off the bar. I would say rest for like 2 to 3 minutes. So we're pretty refreshed, but it's gonna have a little bit of a compounding effect because your biceps are not only gonna be stimulated with the curls, they're gonna be stimulated here. So we're trying to, again, relax them and not use them as much because we're trying to eliminate them so everything else gets used. But they will be engaged on like the initial pull and all that, so they might get a little sore. But rest 2 to 3 minutes in between rounds, and then do that for 3 to 4 sets. The best part is we have just learned how to pull efficiently on the bar with a weakened link in our chain. So the next time I would rest after this, depending on who you are, how many pull-ups you do, how strong you are, and how good you are at recovering. I would rest probably 3 to 4 days before even attempting this again or attempting doing pull-ups again. So that would be, this is how to do more pull-ups in like 3 to 4 days, because this is going to teach you a lot in those few days of recovering. But when we get back on the bar, you'll notice the difference right away. When we get back on the bar, our biceps are nice and refreshed. We have a strong chain again all the way through our arm, and now we have learned in a more efficient pull pattern. So now, again, the increasing of the reps, that's where this happens, because when we're back and the whole chain works together, we can pull with that efficient pull pattern for longer because everything's working, everything's refreshed, and that's the reason it works so well. So again, a little bit of counterintuitive to the traditional sense of pre-fatigue, but it's the same concept, but we're doing an elimination instead of like a stacking effect. So this would be the fastest way that I would teach somebody to do more reps in a short amount of time. There are diminishing returns. I would throw this after you've squeezed all the juice you can out of this method, and you've hit that plateau again, because it will happen. I would go back to traditional training and then just throw this into the mix once in a while to reiterate to yourself how to do that efficient pull pattern. Plus, it's a great workout, especially you can progressive overload this, because maybe the next time you do it, you'll use 15 pounds instead of 10. As long as we're hitting that 70 to 80% RPE, which is rate of perceived exertion. And that's just you monitoring your body. Like, you know what your maxes are from training enough. You know how to assess yourself. So as long as you're in that 70 to 80% max effort zone when you're doing this, you should be fine. So I hope that helps. I hope it makes sense. And that's all I got today.